Good morning once again, dear colleagues. Please take your seats. The ministers are just coming so that we can start on time. They have to leave for their other duties, so please do take the seats. Thank you very much. Distinguished colleagues, dear ministers, dear Ambassador Azari, Your Excellency, dear President of CISOC, I would like to officially open the third Czech-Israeli Forum on Innovation. This forum, as you know, should have taken place already last year, but it wasn't possible to organize due to obvious reasons. So we are glad that we managed to postpone this meeting for a new date with the commitment of all organizers to carry on with the preparation. My name is Petr Kaiser. I will be your guide through a couple of sessions in the morning and some of in the afternoon. Let me, before I give the floor to our VIP guests, remind you that this is a hybrid format. We got participants over here in person in Černý Palais, but many of them are also online joining us from the Czech Republic, from Israel. So greeting to everyone once again. And I would like, with any further ado, to give the floor to His Excellency Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Jan Lipavsky, who will address the meeting on behalf of the hosting institution. Mr. Minister, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser, Special Envoy. Thank you very much. Your Excellency, honorable members of the Czech and Israeli government, distinguished speakers, dear friends, ladies and gentlemen, it is my extraordinary pleasure to welcome you today to the third Czech-Israeli Forum on Innovation in the Černý Palais. The pandemic prevented us from holding forum last year as originally planned, but we are back again. For this forum, we have chosen the topic of smart cities, which is becoming increasingly important. The pandemic has made it clear that we should rethink how we will live and communicate together in the future. Clearly, we have to make our cities and communities more resilient to external shocks, as well as more responsive to the growing demands of their inhabitants. Visions of smart cities built on the space, services, requirements we already have or we will have in the near future. They combine them with the best research and technologies we can develop. However, the smart city concept goes beyond the use of digital technologies. It also means smarter urban transport networks, upgraded water supplies and waste disposal facilities, and more efficient ways to light and heat buildings. In all these areas, both Czech and Israeli research and innovation is strong. There is no one-size-fits-all formula, as it is important for each community to enjoy and safeguard its unique way of life. However, we can still identify many shared issues that we can address together. Commonly developed new knowledge and applications could improve life of people in Prague, in Tel Aviv, or in a small village in the Czech or Israeli countryside. I expect this forum to contribute in this regard. I cherish the extraordinary expertise this gathering represents, and I challenge you to be result-oriented and come up with concrete joint Czech-Israeli projects and long-term partnerships. In my capacity as the Czech Minister of Foreign Affairs, I should underline the exceptionally strong and vibrant Czech-Israeli relations at all levels: political, economic, intellectual, and cultural. This robust and long-lasting bond of friendship, togetherness, and mutual respect is clearly a very solid base also for working on closely together in the field of research and innovation. International collaboration in this area is certainly one of my top priorities. I will ensure that diplomacy will always deploy its best capacities to support joint projects, long-term partnerships, networking events, and missions in research, development, and innovation. To conclude, let me also thank all those whose hard work made this event possible, namely Ambassador Azari and her team, Professor Yaniv from Bar Ilan University, Professor Mařík and his team from the Czech Technical University in Prague, the Czech-Israeli Mutual Chamber of Commerce and its president, Mr. Pavel Smutný, and our special envoy for science and diplomacy, Petr Kaiser. I wish you success. Beha chlava. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. And now I would like to ask our technical people to share with us the pre-recorded message of Minister Farkas Hakoyan, the Israeli Minister of Science and Technology. Minister wanted to join us in December last year, but she couldn't make it. Invite Mr. Ivan Bartoš, Czech Deputy Prime Minister for Digitization, and the Minister of Regional Development to address us and deliver his thought. Mr. Minister, you have the floor.
Ladies and gentlemen, my government colleague, Your Excellency, thank you for inviting me to this high-level event, and I'm happy to see you all in person in this beautiful building, and I say hello also to the people who could not attend today with us but are watching us on the internet. There is no doubt that Israel and Czech Republic share a lot of in common, not only but also in the field of digital transformation, cybersecurity, and innovation. As a Deputy Prime Minister for Digitalization, I find this Innovation Forum as an excellent platform of sharing good practices and building new partnerships in the future. That's why the openness to non-EU partners is essential for us. During our EU presidency, we will promote openness and inclusion of our global partners in international cooperation. Since there is a lot of going on the European level, we have to make sure that implementing new legislation would, on one side, protect the security and the intimacy and the information on our citizens, But on the other side, it won't demotivate researchers, innovators, small and medium companies, and all the talents we have. So we are about to find the balanced legislation in specific field, such as usage of artificial intelligence, etc. is. When it comes to the cooperation in the field of digital transformation, the concept of smart city and smart regions is something I would like to deepen and deliver during our government period. We do have plenty of innovative projects in this area planned. I will name the projects called 5G for 5 cities, which is a pilot for much wider implementation. In this open call, deployment of 5G infrastructure was supported in 5 pilot applications in autonomous transport, robotics, drones, and healthcare. We will continue to support the activities also via National Recovery Plan and increase the number of the projects delivered to 50 together. Another important field, not only these days, but historically, is cybersecurity, and I'm happy that our National Cybersecurity Agency, UKIP, closely cooperates with Israeli counterparts, and both parties are involved in consultation and sharing good practices. We can help each other in the capacity building, sharing know-how and skills for our experts and citizens in generally, because the citizens are also the big part of the cybersecurity, as we know, through their skills, their education, their online habits. I'm truly looking forward to the Cybersecurity Week in Tel Aviv in June, and I believe this event will also be beneficial for representatives of the Czech companies who will join me during my business trip to Israel. The third topic I would like to recall is healthcare, not only considering the digitalization of the system, but I'm aware of the cooperation in the field of medical cannabis, and I will personally supervise that we will have significant result in this area as well, because I consider Israel being a leading country in experiencing and having results with the healing cannabis. I wish you fruitful discussion today, new partnership, and honestly hope to see you in future, either on this platform or on Israeli personally. Thank you and enjoy today's forum.
Thank you very much, Mr. Deputy Prime Minister. And now it's my special pleasure to invite to the floor actually the counterpart of Minister Farkas Hakonen on the Czech side, which is the Minister of Science, Research and Innovation, Helena Langšádlová. Madam Minister, you have the floor.
I hope it will work. Thank you so much, Your Excellency Ambassador Anna Azari, dear colleagues, members of the Czech government, dear Mr. Smutný, dear Israeli friends and guests. It's my pleasure to address the third Czech-Israeli Forum on Innovation. In my opinion, this forum has become an important platform for the Czech-Israeli cooperation in research and development. There are a lot of possibilities for future cooperation, and these meetings are a very good opportunity to discuss them. There are many successful common projects where Czech and Israeli scientists have worked together already. In particular, we can speak about 22 bilateral scientist projects financed from the Czech state budget since 2010, and about 140 projects financed from Horizon 2020. Still, I believe we have not explored the full potential. It's very important to share the best practice, knowledge, and also innovative applications and technologies between our countries in order to ensure the benefit for the people of our countries. Israel is a strategic partner for us in many regards, also in the area of development and innovation, in also great example where we work for inspiration, for instance, in the field of technology transfer. We believe that we can offer remarkable capacities of excellent Czech research for the benefit of our Israeli friends, as we can build on traditional strengths of Czech science, highly qualified human resources, and last but not least, modern research infrastructure that has been built on our territory of the recent years with large investments. We would like to expand our bilateral collaboration, but we also would like to work together within multilateral, including Horizon Europe. That is why we have been strong advocates of Israeli close participation in those programs as associated country. Dear colleagues, let me assure you that I consider Czech-Israeli collaboration in research, development, and innovation very important, and I wish you success for your discussions.
Thank you very much, Madam Minister. And now I would like to ask to share with us the second pre-recorded message that is delivered by Petr Gazdík, the Czech Minister of Education, Youth and Sport. So please, I ask our people to let it play.
Ladies and gentlemen, the state of Israel is admirable in many ways. This year marks the 76th anniversary of its foundation. The process of shaping the country and developing its society and economic infrastructure, including public institutions, has had no parallel in the history. In recent past, Israel has focused on research and innovation because they know that these are the areas that will shape the future. The generous financial support of research and innovation has become undoubtable. Science diplomacy has become a superpower of Israel. The changes in the research and innovation policy of the Czech Republic represent only a small fragment compared to Israel. Yet, these fragments create an important picture of change. The Ministry of Education, Youth and Sports of the Czech Republic has a name engraved in history, although research and innovation are not a part of its name. My office is the actor number one of the Czech research ecosystem and its international dimension. The Czech-Israeli cooperation in the field of research was included in agreement from 2016. I am very proud that my team has negotiated its follow-up. We, as the Czechs, have a lot to learn from you. I truly regret that as the Minister responsible for science and research agenda, I'm not able to attend this conference in person. However, I believe that the spirit of my ministry will be present. My Vice Minister Václav Velčovský will take part in one of the panels. Smart cities are a great example of linking basic and applied research. It's great that the citizens immediately feel impact of science and technology advancement. Only some research areas can do this. Let's try to make our city smarter, more user-friendly, so that an adjective smart becomes natural. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you a successful event.
I thank Minister Gazdík for his remarks, and now it's my pleasure to invite Her Excellency Anna Azari, the Ambassador of the State of Israel to the Czech Republic. And before giving her the floor, I would like to remind that it was indeed the Embassy of Israel, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Czech-Israel Mutual Chamber of Commerce actually who forged this project some years ago. So the last two speakers are those who were actually the driving forces of this whole framework. So without any further ado, Ambassador, we have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. I'm not going to, first of all, thank you for your presence, Minister Bartosz and Minister Langshadova. I'm not going to pretend that I understand what this conference is about, because when I read a title named Agnostic Remote Biosensor for Multiparametric Biosensing and Authentication, agnostic for me is something to do with religious belief and not with smart cities, but maybe we will learn learn something. So I would like to mainly thank all the participants in this conference and all the organizers of this conference. Of course, you, Mr. Kaiser, Professor Yaniv, CISOC, the Czech-Israeli Mutual Chamber of Commerce, which is quite a special phenomenon because I served in many countries. I never had such an active partner in the Chamber of Commerce. And another participant is on the Israeli side, the Israel Czech Chamber of Commerce, which is also more active than the usual, but they don't compete with you, Mr. Smutny, and of course the Czech Technical University and especially Professor Mažek. I probably shouldn't have, but I will give you a secret. I wanted very much to have our minister. We have two lady ministers of science, and I wanted to have her here. If we would have the conference in December, she would be here. But in this not very close but not very open format, I can tell you that Israeli ministers basically are preventing from travel by our own Ministry of Foreign Affairs trade union because we are in a labor dispute. And one of the things we do is prevent ministers from traveling. We don't, not prevent, privately they can, of course, and we don't help them. So in this particular case, I'm not very happy about it because I wanted her here. But in general, if we will raise the salaries of our young employees, and if we will succeed in our fight, I think it's a good thing to do. I had a lot of dreams of the two of you doing special things except this conference. We will try to do it after the dispute. So the one thing which is left is to hope that that this conference is going to be fruitful, including in the agnostic remote something matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. And indeed, you are not the only one who doesn't fully understand all the titles of various presentations, but I believe after the meeting, we will be more knowledgeable, all of us, in this regard. So thank you very much, Ambassador. Thank you very much for your commitment. And last but not least, I would like to invite to the floor Mr. Pavel Smutny, the president of the Czech-Israeli Mutual Chamber of Commerce. So you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Peter. Dear Vice Prime Minister, dear Minister Langšádlová, dear Anna, distinguished guests from Israel and Czech friends, this is the third mutual forum, Czech-Israeli Mutual Forum. We are after 2 years break after COVID, and so I am greeting also all those they are only connected by net with us. And I would like to say you how important for us is really this sharing and exchange and cooperation. It's more and more visible. When I see the program of this Smart Cities conference, I see really quite important, prestigious themes. And it's more and more concrete. It's more and more about really discussing together and about sharing where Israel is the best and where also Czech Republic is not so bad. It's more and more cooperation. It's not only about transfer from one side to other side. It's about cooperation. It's about new ideas. You see, all of us, we assist now really to something which is not only the return of history by war, by war, but new challenges. Those questions we had on the second forum, it's only 2 years ago, were simple because they were in the normal situation of development of societies. We had lots of questions, but not critical one. Now, we have always the questions of development of ideas of smart cities for this conference, but we have a problem with critical questions, refugees, what will happen after, what will happen with Russia, and so on and so on. So it's more important, really, to be together. Nor Israel, nor Czech Republic alone has a capacity. That's why it's an international cooperation, it's so important. And international cooperation, especially between Israel and Czech Republic, is really closer and closer. It's partnership, it's friendship. It's already thanks to you. You are sitting here with your computers home or in your laboratories. It's thanks to you we can really assist to creation of something new. Israel and Czech Republic are 3,000 kilometers distance, but there is common history, there is really common love, there is participation of creation of the State of Israel, and now it's in modern time is this time of cooperation. So I want only to thank you. I want to thank all members of government that joined us today because it's exceptional. It show how important attention they pay to our cooperation. Last remark, our chamber to be also to add something by ourselves. Our chamber now is in the middle of a huge project, maybe huge project. I hope so. We want really to support the creation of big, important, high-profile think tank, Czech-Israel for public policy, resilience, those teams, Czech Israelis. Lots of you will be involved in this think tank. So I think it's really another platform. And last, thank you, Petr. Thank you to Petr Kaiser. Thank to Petr Kaiser really to organize this even in difficult time, even in difficult situation. Thank you and go on. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Pavel. Let me pick up on the last point. I think we should really appreciate and cherish, and we value very much the very strong support that was demonstrated today by the presence of so many important guests and ministers. So I would really like to thank all of them, and I would like to ask you to give a very big round of applause for that. So our distinguished guests are very busy, so I would like enable them to leave, and for that I would declare a 10 minutes technical intermission so that you can refresh a little bit, but we start immediately after that. We have a very I would say substantial agenda for today, and we have to learn about all this crypto language that was referred to by Ambassador Azari. Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, we will resume the meeting. Please take again your seats. You can grab your coffee with you and take your seats. So let us resume the meeting and carry on with the agenda of today. Actually, the next item of our program is the keynote addresses, which is the session number 1. We have, I would say, very, very interesting menu of various presentations regarding technologies of smart cities. But before we proceed with our presentation, let me underline a few technical stuff, do the housekeeping. As there are many people online, I have been informed that there were some technical issues that should have been resolved already. I invite all of you to use the technology available for raising questions, for example, which means please use the Slido. Feel free during the debate to send us your remarks, comments, and questions. Second, I would like to remind everyone to have their mics muted so that there are no disturbances during the presentation. So this would be the technical remarks, and without any further ado, I would like to open the session of keynote addresses. The first speaker is Professor Eyal Yaniv, once again, I would like to acknowledge and recognize his leadership in putting together this event due to the technical problems, or I would say rather circumstances last year. It really required a lot of commitment to prepare finally our hybrid meeting today, because we actually decided to prefer people to have an opportunity to meet physically or digitally, as already mentioned. In this regard, let me remind everyone as well that there is an event in LinkedIn that could facilitate your networking, so please do utilize this technology as well. So Professor Yaniv is the founder, I understand, and the head of the Center of Smart Cities at Bar Ilan Universities. He has, I would say, outstanding experience in areas like smart cities, technologies, innovation, entrepreneurship, and strategic management. He has published more than 50 peer-reviewed publications. And what I think is always as well very interesting, before joining the university, he founded several startups in Israel. So I would like give the floor to you, Eyal, and deliver your message.
Okay. Well, I'm very excited and delighted to be here at the event of the Czech-Israeli Forum. I would like to thank the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Israeli Embassy for supporting this amazing event. And also for the wonderful hospitality of our Israeli delegation. The delegation includes 7 leading researchers who look at smart cities from very different perspectives, as you will see during the day. And also a group of technology providers who represent the variety of solutions developed in the ecosystem of smart cities in Israel. In the last year of preparation for this event, it was a very special experience. It was a great pleasure for me to meet and work with a group of wonderful people. Just to mention some of them, Mr. Kaiser from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ms. Friedrichova, Lucy from the Embassy, the professors from the university, Professor Majic, Professor Svitek, Engineer Postrensky, and other. I feel and I hope that this is the beginning of partnership and friendship, and this friendship and partnership will lead to great success and great impact. My presentation here for the next few minutes is about Smart Cities 2030. And I would like to propose a roadmap. I have very short time, so it won't be a very detailed roadmap, but it will be some direction where we should go towards this Smart Cities 2030. It was easier for me to talk about Smart Cities 2050 because 2030 is just around the corner. And some of you will be able to come to me in 8 years and say, oh, what did you say in 2022? It's really didn't happen and nothing happened. If it would be 2050, then I'm not sure that anybody would remember what I said, so that I could say whatever I want. So I take the chance, I take the risk, and try to speak about Smart Cities 2030 and to provide you this roadmap. As mentioned before, I'm the head of the Center for Smart Cities. You can see the logo of our center at the bottom, and there is a special shape, color shape, which at the end of my talk, you will get the meaning of this shape. Also, there is the logo of the European Union, the European Commission, since we are a DIH, Digital Innovation Hub, the first digital innovation hub in Israel, and we are the only one in the world that's specialized only in smart cities. Today there are another DIH, also within University Bar-Ilan University, which is DIH for nanotechnologies. Well, the center, the Smart City Center of Bar-Ilan is a meeting place for academy, local government, and industry. And it is one of 12 impact centers that we have in Bar-Ilan. The idea of impact center is a research center that not only impact and influence the scientific community, but larger communities. And of course, smart city is very good candidate. The subject of smart city is very good candidate to be of impact on larger communities and not only on the scientific community. Well, for us, the definition of smart cities, it's an urban development that integrates information and communication technology, ICT, and Internet of Things, IoT, in order to improve the quality of life of the citizens. This is the main objective, is improving quality of life. The objective is not technology. Technology is only an enablers. It can make it happen, but the idea is to improve the quality of life of citizens. And Shakespeare already said, what is the city but people? So with this definition, we go to fulfill our mission, which is integrating the different stakeholders in order to help with improvement of the quality of life in cities. So what will be in 2030? Cities will look like this. Okay? Very simple vision, very simple answer. So not really. If we look back to, let's say, to the 30s of the last century, then very famous big cities had neighborhoods that looked like this one. Here we have Detroit, here we have a neighborhood in Melbourne, Australia, and here we have a neighborhood in Paris. Well, not all these cities looked the same, but they had neighborhoods that looked like this. So let's go back for 2022 and look into neighborhoods in these three cities. So in these three cities, there are some neighborhoods that look like this. Here again, this is Detroit, Melbourne, and Paris. So smart city is definitely not about beautiful city center. No, because those people who live in these slums, and the slum area, the slum neighborhoods, getting bigger and bigger. This is the slum map of the world. So as you can see, there are more slums in Africa and South America, but slums are getting bigger and bigger with the urbanization, with the movement of more and more people into the cities. The slums, the portion of the slums in the cities become bigger and bigger. And this is a very big risk, very big threat for cities in the world. And again, making a very beautiful city center is definitely not the idea of smart cities. All the citizens, all the inhabitants of the city should be part of this movement of smart cities. By the way, I prefer the term smarter city, because if we are talking about quality of life, it is not that there is a point where we are satisfied with quality of life. We will always want better and better life in the city. So I prefer the term smarter city. We are looking into a process of making the cities smarter and smarter. And even if we reach some of our objectives, some of our vision, we'll have to set a new vision because there will be more problems and more enabling technologies, etc., etc. So what should be done? Well, here I'm trying to map the forces of the arena of smart cities. I distinguish between push forces and pull. Push is what must be done, what can be done. This is like push forces. It must be done, so let's do it. It can be done, let's try it. And pull is what we want to achieve. It's the vision. We're looking into the vision. We are looking into the place we want to be in 2030, and we draw some vision that we are trying to achieve in these terms. So, if to be more specific, push and pull forces in the smart city arena. So we have the city's condition. The condition of the city is a push force because we have to change it. If the condition is bad, we have to change it. If it's good, we have to make it better. Technology is a push. Critic factors from the public, from the newspapers, from organizations that are looking into making the city better. Public demands is also a push force, and pull forces are smart cities worldwide. We are looking into other cities, and this is kind of nice picture. If those who succeeded, those who are already smarter than us, we can look into these cities and try to adapt what they did. And of course, innovation culture. I think within the framework of this event, when we are talking about innovation culture, if we develop the innovation culture of the state, then we can achieve a lot because this is it's a pull force. So, as I said, one of the very important pull forces is looking into other places. The sentence here, who is smart, he who learns from every man. In Hebrew, Ezeu Chacham Alomed Mikol Adam. This is a sentence from the Mishnah. Mishnah is the codex of Jewish laws, and it is. I think it's a very important, very interesting sentence. And so, who is smart? This is of course about people. Who is smart? Who learns from every man? Who is a smart city? Who learns from other cities? If I make the equivalent in cities. So this is an example of leading smart cities: New York, Singapore, London, Barcelona, Oslo, Toronto, and Tokyo. What we did in the Center of Smart Cities in Bar-Ilan, we took the first 50 cities that are ranked in many indices as the leading smart cities in the world, when we try to investigate what they did, what they emphasize in their activities and how they do it. So here are some results, main finding. The key success factor, strategic approach for smart city development. I think this is the most important thing. We are talking about strategy. We are not talking about integrating or implementing technology. We are talking about strategy. We have to look at it as a strategy that aimed at improving the well-being of the people in the cities, and then try to make sure that this is a strategic plan that can help us to achieve the main goals and our vision. Integrative thinking. We have to think in a manner that we integrate many domains. For example, our Center for Smart Cities, you will see, we have researchers from engineering, from data science, from psychology, education, management, law, geography, all of them bringing different perspectives, and together we can build something. But this is not enough, because it is not only academic activity. In order to really achieve good ideas and great impact, we need the collaboration with other stakeholders, namely the cities, the industry, advisor, and also the citizens. Central coordination, also very important. I talked to some of our colleagues here in Czech Republic. We know it from Israel. Central coordination, the involvement of the central government is very, very important in succeeding in this smart cities project. Engagement of various stakeholders, I mentioned that, and especially engagement of the public. It is very important. They are the beneficiaries of these activities, so they should be part of the development. And using proven technologies and more enabling technology, and also learning about methodology and systematic implementation. This is very, very important. I mentioned a strategic approach, and we now see that many cities publish their strategic plans. We looked into almost 200 strategic plans of smart city, of cities in the world, and more and more strategic plans are published every day. However, many cities find it difficult to implement a strategic plan. So it is not enough to think strategically, it is not enough to write a strategic plan. Many cities find and declare that it is difficult to implement their strategic plan. So what should be done? This is the main idea of the roadmap. As I said, in this short time, I cannot go in details into the program, the roadmap. We have it. If you are interested, we would love to share it with you. But the main directions of the roadmap should be the following four bullets. Better use of public space. Better use of public space. We know today that there are public spaces in existing cities. Of course, if you're dealing with the new city, which is very rare, then you can develop whatever you want. You can dream and just implement it. But this is the rare situation. In most cities are old cities, and we should think about better use of public space. There are many technologies and many methodologies of how to do it. One of my favorite is placemaking, engaging the public in making the places different. Engaging the public in making it can be very short period project, and there are a lot of beautiful success of this project. Reducing traffic congestion, I think this is the problem of all the cities, all the main cities, and effort should be directed into this activity. You will hear later about our activity in this matter. Clean air and sustainability, and better municipal services. I think if we focus on these four issues, then we are doing something which is good for the city, good for the citizens. The way how we do it. So national plan, as I said before, we need central coordination, a national plan that will lead the cities, what they should do, what their target should be, relevant legislation if necessary, transfer of power to cities in various fields. It was in the past, everybody thought that climate change and environmental issues are of the concern of the central government. It is clear today that cities should be part of this activity, emergency and more. And as I mentioned before, and I will repeat it again and again, collaborations between all the stakeholders, and public engagement, which I find it also very, very important. So this is I'm returning to our logo. The logo is the quadruple helix of innovation. Only combination of government, academic, industry, and citizens can lead us to real impact and real success. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Rani, for really very interesting address that I believe very nicely frames our debates for today. As we are good on time, I would like to use the opportunity and to actually let you address questions that we have received in the meantime via Slido. The first question, I think it refers to the beginning of your address, reads, how actually can we define what can make life better for people if the human nature is not going to change? This is a more philosophical question, but I would like to frame it a little bit with the other question, and actually it's about the availability of technology for, as it's obvious, but scarce resources that can be developed in terms of financing, human resources, knowledge, especially in the areas you referred to at the beginning, which is the developing countries with these horrible slums and everything. So if you can shortly address that.
Okay. So I think the answer is, maybe for these two questions, is the public engagement. If you engage the public, then they can help you with prioritizing the activities, and especially if you engage the public, then you know what would make them happier. And if you know what will make them happier, what is their specific needs, but not only what their specific needs. When we are talking about engagement, we are talking about engagement in choosing the ways, in taking part in the decisions. And of course, we all don't have unlimited budget to do whatever we want. And this is why the cities will not look like the city that I showed at the beginning. But we have to work on improvement, and improvement is never-ending process. So let's try to improve it a little bit according to the needs, according to the priorities of the citizens, and we will continue. And this is why, as I said, I prefer the smarter city and not smart city term, but the smarter city. Let's be smarter. We'll be smarter we'll do a very small step, we'll be smarter, and the next day we'll do another step and we'll be smarter again. And this is the main idea.
Okay, thank you very much. If I may just follow up question that I didn't mention at the beginning, what actually can the developed and let's say rich nation governments do to support the governments and local communities that need the support, basically? I mean, this is the traditional dispute, for example, in the midst of United Nations, where how the rich North can support the South. And a slightly related question to that, as a small city to 20,000 citizens, shall we wait for the government plan, or shall we start with the change ourselves as much as we can according to the roadmap? So this is, I believe, very much in the line of the engagement of the public. So would you like to comment on that?
It is really, really difficult for a small city to make great impact on this issue. It's because it costs money, and so I believe also here in collaboration between cities and with other cities, and learning from other best practices. But of course, it is an issue of budget. It is an issue of budget, and budget should allocated for these activities by central government, by international organizations. It is very important. We are talking today about more than half of the world population is already live in cities. By 2050, 2/3 of the world population will live in cities. It becomes more and more difficult to live in city, but people want to live in city. This is the fact. It's not going to change. So many billion more people will live in city. We have to make sure that they will live in safe and clean and healthy and pleasant places.
Thank you very much. I encourage people to keep asking via Slido, so possibly at the end of this session we will have still some time to address them. At the moment, I would like to thank Professor Janiv and invite Professor Mažík to deliver his presentation. Professor Mažík is the founder of Czech Institute, among others, the founder of Czech Institute of Informatics, Robotics, and Cybernetics, and at the moment he's the science director of this institution. He specializes in areas such as artificial intelligence, multi-agent, and knowledge-based systems of computing, and all these digital applications. He has contributed with many outstanding papers in this regard, and help a lot in regards of transferring the academic knowledge into the applications, working together with the industry, both Czech and international. So Professor Mažík is as well member of the board of the R&D and Council of the Czech Republic, so he's been active in shaping the strategies and policies of this country, including international collaboration. So, Professor Mažík, you have the floor.
Okay, technology oriented. I'll talk a little bit about the technologies which we are developing in the area of industrial manufacturing and which can be directly transferred into the area of smart cities, energy distribution, and so on. So please, may I start?
Working, right?
Okay, so can we put the slides? Okay, so what did happen in 2011? In 2011, Professor Wallster presented really breakthrough ideas concerning new ways how to manufacture and how to organize complex systems. The idea behind it was that each physical unit which participates in production can be represented. It might be machine, it might be transportation, conveyor, it might be product, semi-product. This unit can be represented by a digital twin in a virtual space. And the digital twins can communicate, negotiate, find a solution, and transfer it back to the physical floor. So we have started to think that in the way that physical world is complemented by virtual world, and the first rules how they should be integrated were presented by Professor Wallster. As a matter of fact, agents are digital twins which are equipped with goal-oriented behavior, so they share the goals and they can orient the system which is integrated in the virtual space towards joint goals. We have gathered a lot of experience in the field of Industry 4.0 and multi-agent systems, and as a matter of fact, in the last decade, the multi-agent system used in manufacturing go towards new theory of distributed systems. Knowledge plays very important role, and of course artificial intelligence, which handles knowledge, is in the focus of attention. So we gathered a lot of experience. The only problem we suffer from is lack of standardization, despite there are already European organizations like Gaia-X or IDSA, which don't have standardization yet. They put a lot of efforts to achieve this. Industry 4.0 ideas completely changed the let's say, area of manufacturing, but they changed also thinking. That's not about the technology. That's mainly about the new way of thinking. We are talking about thinking 4.0, which replaces the centralized decision-making by, let's say, distributed communication among participants in the game. So flexible manufacturing facilities, which manufacture in a very flexible way, which are very adaptive, which manufacture faster and cheaper, cannot work in the environment which is old-fashioned. Old-fashioned management of cities, old-fashioned management of energy distribution. This is not the way to go ahead. So we started to think about penetration of thinking 4.0 to the whole society, talking about society 4.0. This is the latest picture, which was presented by Professor Falster recently, which shows that industry 4.0 is now much more green, but also should consider cities as a part of the game. We should manufacture not faster and cheaper only. We should manufacture in a green way, and we should manufacture in the facilities which respect the urbanization, urban demands in the vicinity. So we are talking about triangle, green manufacturing, industry 4.0, and urban production. The philosophy of multi-agent system is the only philosophy which can help us to build highly distributed energy supply system and energy distribution systems, because we need to produce more and more energy locally, regionally. We should build smart cities, smart grids, which handle the energy in the smart cities, and integration of these cities and these smart grids with the backbone infrastructure for energy distribution cannot be done without multi-agent system, without a 4.0 approach. And we warned the government already for many years that it's necessary to start to build special internet of energy, which will be able to handle the distribution, distributed sources, distributed suppliers, prosumers, because each device, each household, each house, each street and city can play the role of agents which communicates with the others. The same is true for smart cities, where, for instance, each car, road, house, household, utility supply system, factory, school, can be represented by an agent in virtual space, and these agents should negotiate in an optimal way the solution which is efficient, which is, as a matter of fact, efficient locally, which saves a lot of energy, which is green. So integration of individual units into complex systems can be done only by using multi-agent technology overtaken from Industry 4.0 directly, and especially this multi-agent approach is suitable for resilience tasks. When something is broken, when some supply is not working, operating well, we need to react, we need to reconfigure the system, we need to change the communication. Interaction with factories 4.0 and energy 4.0 in this case will be very easy in the case there are joint standards, because the principles of communication, principles of negotiations are the same. And what's very important and what's very specific for smart city is the fact that besides the world of physics, besides the virtual world which is being built by 4.0 ideas, there is a social world. People are objects, but also subjects in the smart city. So the decisions influence the people, their lives, their heating, their water supply, but the people react and change the system by their reaction. And we need to also teach the people how to behave in a smart city which is managed in a new way, because they are quite important subject of decision making, influencing the overall solution. So social aspect is quite important. What's about the key level of technologies for Industry 4.0 and smart cities? Preconditions are network communication infrastructures. Phase one, or we call it first decade of Industry 4.0, is represented by virtualization, knowledge-based integration, multi-agent system technology, but this is over. We have started the phase two already, to integrate a partial solution in global intelligent systems. And this is very demanding type of tasks, which requires a lot of computing power, a lot of memory, a lot of AI, approaches. So, what does it mean to go to phase two? It means we need to build very complex systems using AI, integrate these AI-based systems into much more complex AI-based systems, and the systems should be a little bit aware what is happening, should intelligently invoke the cooperation with individual units. So this is quite a difficult task. So Czech Institute of Informatics, Robotics and Cybernetics is the center which was built recently in the last 5 years. We create a very efficient ecosystem, AI ecosystem, offering solutions in the area of artificial intelligence for industrial applications, smart cities, energy distribution, and healthcare. As a matter of fact, we are linked internationally in European centers of excellence. We are deeply interconnected inside the country through the National Competence Center, and the ecosystem is organized around a RICAIP project, around a test bed, which is a testing facility for manufacturing and is being extended to energy distribution and smart cities. RICAIP is Research and Innovation Center on Advanced Industrial Production, should use virtual and augmented reality to integrate test beds and research facilities across Europe. And as a matter of fact, currently it's fully furnished by tens of robots and many pieces of transportation systems and software pieces, 3D printing, smart grid lab, and so on. Here is the picture, you can visit it. It's open access European facility, so also the partners from Israel can join us and become associate partners. We have a lot of transfer of know-how to industry, but our main goal is to build an AI system integration industry, specific industry, which will be able to overtake the results of research community and build in a massive way industrial solutions which fully satisfy the needs of intelligent, flexible systems in industry, in energy distribution, in smart cities. So we would like to build AI-based integration industry. For this purpose, we applied for a large European project called Comenia, that's within the frame, it's macro project within the frame of IPCEI, important project of common European interest. The coordinator of the project is startup of CIRC, name is Trix Connections, and the idea is simply to transfer the result achieved at CIRC and different research institutions to industrial computational cloud, which will be managed by specific organization, in this case by Trix Connections, and this will be connected with industry using 5G communication. T-Mobile is quite supportive in this respect. We need to develop platforms, we need to develop space which will concentrate data from industry, which will concentrate use cases from academia, which will concentrate algorithms from academia, and will provide partial and global solutions which might be achieved by this system integration industry. So high-level objectives is to build infrastructure, to create environmental friendly and working space, orchestration of efforts, security, use cases. The facilities which should be built start from TRICS Far Edge building, Comenia Lighthouse, that's a special institute which will handle the big data spaces, use cases, which will handle also good solutions which might be reused. The data center itself will be in Opatovice near the power plant because energy consumption is quite high for supercomputing and data spaces. Platforms will be developed by Czech companies, and all these facilities will use the results of CIRC and other research institutions working in this field. The Comenia project should be funded by more than 200 million euros. It's linked with other projects in the field of cloud information systems in European IPCEI program. And as a matter of fact, also the Israeli colleagues are invited to participate in this experiment, which considers data for manufacturing, smart city, agriculture, healthcare, and energy. Conclusion, both Industry 4.0 and smart cities are using the same networking, communication, and AI technologies. Multi-agent system is good approach. We need to build very complex systems using AI in partial solutions, but using generic AI also on the top level, and current AI research ecosystem is not adequate enough. Such centers like CIRC is good for the first phase, but not for the second phase, which requires much bigger data spaces, computational resources, solution repositories, and these should be used in an innovative and creative way. That means by the AI system integration industry. And we are inviting our partners from Israel to participate in this project since the very beginning, to test their solutions, simply to be our partner. Thank you for attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Mařík, for both drawing and explaining the parallel between smart cities technologies and Industry 4.0. I think it was really enlightening as well for inviting Israeli partners to join concrete projects. So I understand it was discussed more in depth yesterday when the Israeli delegation visited CIRC for a more in-depth discussion. We are a little bit behind the schedule, but still I would like to transmit a question addressed to you, Professor Mařík, from Slido, speaking about the distributed structures of industry, where the production is distributed around the several places, and knowing, for example, that old cities like Prague or Jerusalem, they got quite a strict, well-designed structure with little space. How can you negotiate between the requirements of the industry to be located in the cities and the old structures like Prague, I mean the historical center of Prague? So this question.
Okay, so first of all, the newly built factories should consider the green demands. So without any emission, in principle self-sustainable concerning electrical energy, because you can have solar, for instance, combined with batteries. So they shouldn't bring any additional load to energy system. They should be without emission, and they should be located very near to the places where people do live to reduce the transportation requirements. So that's the idea beyond it, and this is the way in which the factories of the future will be built.
Okay, thank you very much. There will be more room for continuing discussion later on and on the margins of our sessions. Now I would like to invite Professor David Pasik from Bar-Ilan University to tell us about more about technology as a superorganism and what does it want from us. Professor Pasik is a visionary in this regard, if I may say so. I'm really keen on learning whether the cities of the future would enable us as a human being to live there, or should we develop into the superorganisms?
Thank you so much. Let me be very clear. We are in trouble. If you don't understand it, let me give you some sense of the trouble I'm speaking about. Our species, the Homo sapiens, started their journey in evolution about 200,000 years ago. During those 200,000 years, there were a few variations or variants to this species. All of them disappeared. And they disappeared because of pandemics and because of other constraints of evolution. We are the only variant that succeeded to reach this point in time in evolution. And we are at a new crossroad in our evolution. For the first time, this species is going to be an urbanized species. Just a few years ago, we passed a landmark in that process. We are now a little bit more than 50% of humanity residing in mega urban centers. In about 30 years, we're going to reach about 80% of humanity that will be in urban centers, mega cities. We don't have time to do incremental progress without something unusual. We are in trouble. That means our slums will take over. Criminality, everything will be a disaster. It will be a fight against a decade of humanity. And I'm not exaggerating. We are all feeling it. And we are at a point in which we are confused. I'm speaking about myself. I'm really confused about what we are trying to achieve regarding our urban centers of the future. And my feeling is that we are barely doing incremental progress. We need a very different perspective in order to somehow make our species a very successful, continue to succeed in evolution. So what I would like to do in my very few minutes I have is try to pack a lot of information in a very simple way of presentation. I would like, first of all, to give you a sense of this very specific time in evolution. And since I, as a futurist, when we speak about the future, we tend either to understand the trends and have systems try to to somehow adjust to those trends, or what we call think about the preferable futures. Going out of the box, think about the situation and come up with very new ideas in order to achieve a certain goal, whatever it is we are speaking about. So this is what I'm going to try to do in a very simple way that I hope will be very at least clear to each one of us here. I'm going to take an approach in which I will try to convey a very deep idea about what might be a vision for smart cities. Now, by smart, I do not mean effective. That's very simple. It's a very different approach to smart cities. I believe we are at the root of just effectiveness, but we don't have time to be effective since humanity is gathering in very small places on this planet. We need a very different approach. So I would like to present my approach as an interview between two people. And I hope I'll be able to do it in the next 10 minutes only. I'm going to present you to Mrs. Technium, okay? Mrs. Technium is a very interesting concept. I'm going to speak about that, the person that introduced that concept. And I'm going to speak about me discussing with Mrs. Technium about the future of smart cities, IoTs, everything that we are speaking about today. All right. So I'm asking her, who gave you that bizarre name, Mrs. Technium? And she says to me, well, Kevin Kelly, if you didn't hear about Kevin Kelly, is a very known person, a very philosopher of technologies, very known in the futurist communities. And he wrote a lot of books. One of his books, he's trying to understand what technology wants. And he comes up with the idea that technology has become already a living organism. And he's trying to understand what that technology is willing, what's driving it, what does he want from us. So he gave the technology a personality of a lady. I don't know exactly why a lady, but that's another issue. All right? So this is the origin of the idea of the name of this nice lady. And then I ask the Technium this following question: do you really think that the technology is already a living organism or living superorganism? Come on, are you serious? And she says the following: I'm really serious, okay? Steadily, technologies are becoming a superorganism. As you all know, a superorganism is the definition of a superorganism is a collection of agents that are working in a manner that it gives a system a very distributed intelligence that takes that system to other levels of existence. That's very basic definition. By the way, it's very hard to define superorganism in biology at this point. All right, but we all know a lot of different examples from ant things, etc. But think about our cars nowadays. Each car has something between 15,000 to 30,000 parts that are working together so that we are able to move from one place to another place in a very comfortable way. And we are constantly adding more and more and more parts. So she says, bit by bit, our technologies are somehow reflecting the definition of a superorganism. Now remember what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to take us outside of the box in order to come out with new ideas regarding future smart cities. Because as far as we know, the route we are taking now is not exactly something that assures us that we will be successful in building a society that will be very smart and very efficient. We don't have time. That's the most important issue here. So think about our cities nowadays. By definition, they are already a superorganism. Think about the billions of parts that are working together so that everything is somehow efficient already. Okay? Above Earth, below Earth, everything is working so that a person that walks on this street, can eat, can drink, can buy, can sell, can everything. Millions of parts are already working. Now think if something, God forbid, happens to humanity and humans will disappear. That street will continue to live as far as there is energy. Okay, it won't live forever, it won't exist forever, but everything will still continue working until somehow energy will stop being delivered to its very complex and huge parts of the system. So by definition, we are already in a state in which our environment, our surrounding, our cities, our bubbles, if you wish, from homes to streets to cities, are already mimicking a superorganism. And then I'm a little bit, crazy about the idea, and I says to her, well, in order to be a superorganism, you have to have a lot of other things, not just, a lot of parts that are working together. That's not enough. You need to have homeostasis, power. There are a lot of, stages in order to be defined as a superorganism. And she says, you're right. Yes, indeed. But we are step by step going towards that goal. At this very moment, we have just achieved the second level of being a superorganism. We have already achieved the manufacturing. We are already in the fourth stage of industrialization, and we are able to manufacture billions of technologies and put them all over the world. But now we have just started giving those parts autonomous abilities, and then there is the smart level that will come up after being autonomous. And there'll be also a conscious thing. Okay? You're right, she says. But we are at a very clear route towards being a very living superorganism that will achieve even consciousness. Whoa. And then I say, you're kidding. This is really big. But still, there are a lot of more steps to go. And I just, list those steps. And the most important thing in order to be a superorganism, you have to be sentient. You have to feel things. Our technologies are not feeling. They are just, sharing data. That's not feeling. Even though there are huge, gigantic systems already. And then she says, okay, you got me. What I'm speaking about, she says, I'm speaking about the myth of being a superorganism. And she says that there is a very interesting person called a very famous philosopher, a Jewish philosopher, a French philosopher, Claude Lévi-Strauss, that said, a myth is a construct A myth is a construct that bridges nature and culture. A myth is a tool with which we are working as a species in order to understand things and in order to act in our environments. So through those myths, we are actually developing our civilization. And she says, yes, we are just developing a myth that superorganism is a living, that technology is a living cell, like we have done forever. And this is about time to invent a new myth. Like, some people are saying that the best or the most advanced myth that humanity has developed is the myth of God. I'm not saying it, but there are people that are saying it. And without it, humanity would not have been developing, morality, etc., etc. So she says the following: this is only a way to try and understand what we can do in order to achieve a higher level of organization to our environment, to our cities. And the idea is that if technology is a superorganism, we can use that idea in order to achieve a different goal towards a better environment that we can develop for humanity in order for them to survive in a very urban, very condensed urban places, if you wish. Okay? So the idea I would like to share with you now is that because of such a myth, what we can do in order to come out of this almost very pessimistic view I was trying to deliver at the beginning is to address our technologies as a living cell, as a living organism that is willing to go through evolution by itself. We don't have to be the people that are organizing our technologies in order for them to help us organize ourselves. We can do what we have done as a species. We have developed what we call civilization. We have developed common languages. We have developed trade agreements. We have developed cultures. We have developed a lot of things in order for you and me to be here at this very moment and share ideas and continue evolving. So with this kind of a myth, we can address our technologies and help our technologies become a new civilization. And as a new civilization, autonomous civilization, they will be able to do things we cannot even imagine for them. Because if we will be in control for everything they will be doing, there is no enough time to do it in order to achieve an urbanized civilization. So let me finish with just an idea. I would like to show you a video that demonstrates the kind of technologies we can develop in order for our technologies to do the work for us. They don't need us anymore. They can continue to develop themselves as a superorganism, and then they'll have the time to do whatever they need to do for us in order to be able to survive in evolution of at least in the 21st century. This is a very nice clip that demonstrates how technologies can share ideas, can discuss with themselves, can trade. Okay, this is a person that is about to go home, and he is preparing his house to accommodate him and his girlfriend. Okay, part of it is, of course, textual, part of it is vocal, part of it is a lot of other things. But what I would like you to pay attention to is how technologies are discussing among themselves about what to achieve for that person, without that person actually knowing what those technologies are doing for him. And what we need, you're following. What we need is to develop for our technologies, for our IoTs basically, a common language that we don't have now. Common platform on which they will be able to discuss. Common trade agreements, because they will need to trade to have energy for themselves. I don't have to plug them up to the wall every time they will need energy. They will have to share information and take somehow something from that sharing. We need to start developing a new civilization of our IoTs in order for that civilization to really help humanity continue evolving. So what I would like to finish with is, I'm a futurist, but I'm also very part of startups that are trying to develop those kind of ideas. Just to mention one of them, it's called things that think, okay? That's the idea of the startup, and the idea is to start developing the platforms on which our technologies, our IoTs, our things will start doing the process of evolving as an autonomous and really smart superorganism in order for us to be able to evolve in our journey in time and space.
What if science fiction?
You can take a look at what we are trying to achieve. We are trying really to bring and develop the language with which different kinds of technologies will be able to speak among themselves in order for them to be able to think about new ideas, new features that we as their creator did not think we need. They will be able to deduct what we might need and do whatever it needs to be done. I know this vision is very frightening to a lot of people, but we don't have any other option at this time in evolution. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much, Professor Pasi, for really, I would say, very interesting, exciting presentation, though a little bit scary at times at least. That I understand this was the purpose to sound alarm of urgency. In the meantime, we are a little bit behind the schedule, but I would hate to skip the question addressed to you. So if you can address it briefly. You spoke about the kind of new mythology for the people so that they understand the world they are living already, possibly. So who will be those who will be developing the new mythology? Would it be the scientists, the researchers, the academics? Because people usually refer to the necessity to be able to translate what there is for people.
Well, I believe that we need thinkers. And that's another issue. At those kind of crossroads in evolution, engineers are not enough. They tend to do most of the time incremental development because they are, all of them, they are immersed in constraints, physical constraints, economic constraints, everything that is constraints. We need people that will take us outside the box. And I believe thinkers, philosophers, academics are to join in order to really bring new ideas first, not new features. Features are nowadays a much easier thing to achieve if you know what to achieve. And I think that's that it says everything.
Thank you very much for fascinating presentation and vision of the future. Now I would like to invite to the speakers booth Madame Ruth Bísková, the member of the R&D Council of the Czech Republic. Actually, Dr. Bísková has been very active for decades in technologies related to smart solutions and innovative practices for development of society, especially in the fields of energy, environment, research and development. She actually has held a number of very important positions in the state administration, including Minister of Environment, the first and chair and founder of Technology Agency. And I can go on for much longer, but I would rather let her speak because I am very much interested in hearing about more what we can do in both in the large cities and the small one communities.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am very happy that I am here. Very pleased what I can listen to, because it was very, very interesting, fruitful, and I think it is beginning of next discussions. I come back to the Czech Republic now, and I know that I have only 15 minutes, so I have written my my speech, but only several words to previous speeches. One and most important for me was speech of Professor Yaniv, because I have to say that a lot was said, because we completely agree that this is the point of view how to see to the future. The second one, what is important, I understand how we see and future and how it will be. And I recommend to come back to Teilhard de Chardin. It is about future of human being, how it will seem, and I think that it would be a very interesting discussion about future of human society. And the third one, yes, that's true that megacities are at present are reality. Maybe it will be in Foresight report, Megatrends 2030 report of ESPAS is written that in 2100 in this year, about 5 billion people will be in Asia, and about 4.8 billion people in Africa. And only in Europe and in America, especially Northern America, we will have the same population. So challenges are big. But as I said, I want to come back to the Czech Republic and to our national strategies. Why? Because we are, I think, a little in different situation. A lot of my previous jobs was said, but what is important from my point of view, I try to do new things, and smart city is very, very important also for us, and we prepare several projects for that in special Czech situation. I show you. And then national strategy was prepared. I am very happy that Mrs. Dr. Zezulková is with us, because it was in her responsibility. It was prepared, and last year our national strategy in this way that Professor Yaniv said was approved. So let me to read my speech to be quick, maybe. Because everybody knows that I am very epic. So, ladies and gentlemen, there are two perspectives with which we can look at the same reality. In the long-term run, it applies what is already written in the Old Testament, the book of Ecclesiastes. That which has been is what will be, that which is done is what will be done, and there is nothing new under the sun. From a shorter perspective, we can see that things are changing, both with regard to the technical means that are different at different times and to the emphasis that prevail at the moment. This also applies to smart cities, a concept that evolves over time and whose components become more important depending on whether we live in a time without extremes or right now, in the time of post-COVID and strange Putin, where obvious conventions don't apply. Although our recent experiences are painful, the experience of COVID and Putin leads us to realize that the apocalypse may occur, even though its signals are still weak, and we don't know perceive them quite intensively. The concept of the smart city evolved from the original idea of the energy-efficient functioning of the city as a large energy consumer into the concept of living organism that works well with the available tools of the 21st century. It is especially with the tools of digitization. From a long-term perspective, then, it is the same as always, nothing new under the sun. For people to have good living conditions, as much as possible protected from extreme situations. Then, of course, the concept of smart city should be terminologically extended to other adjectives, sustainable and resilient. From nature as well as from everyday experience, we know that organisms, small or large, diverse, are only able to survive under certain specific conditions in certain ecosystems. We have incorporated this view into the smart concept of the Czech Republic. We have learned, for example, in Tel Aviv, that is seen on screen, how infrastructure and services can work effectively for people with one touch on a smartphone. We have realized what is needed for this, for example, in terms of public administration and openness to business opportunities, and under what circumstances the operation of a large city can be cost-effective. In the Czech Republic, however, the reality of settlement is very specific. A landscape without extremes, high mountains and deep valleys once gave people the opportunity to settle anywhere. Thus, with the total population of the Czech Republic of 10.5 million, Prague here is the largest city with the population of 1.2 million, and most of the settlement of the country can be considered rural. There are more than 6,250 municipalities in the Czech Republic, most of them around 5,800, with less than 3,000 inhabitants. See how Czechia shines in night. The lights are everywhere, but mostly small lights, many small points. Could such a living space be smart in the context that was said? In the concept approved by the government last year, the whole area of the Czech Republic is considered a smart city. The whole area of the Czech Republic, one city, one smart city, with not only large but also small organisms benefiting from smart solutions in the ecosystem, which are working well and gradually cost-effectively only if working together. The very unpleasant and life of people limiting COVID experience also had some positives as for new solutions. It has been shown how science can contribute in the situation when new solutions are needed quickly. In the Czech Republic, a number of successful solutions emerged, for example, PCR tests or at the workplace of Professor Mařík, my predecessor, if before the coincidence it was very difficult to explain to the mayor of many small municipalities that they shouldn't hinder the development of digital infrastructure in the municipalities because it is necessary for future solutions and will have them the same effect as the development of railways in the past had in the past. Suddenly, the situation was turned out. People worked from home during COVID, had their purchases delivered home by freight forwarding companies up in the online orders, communicated with doctors remotely, and all that was possible. People of all ages had no choice but to start using electronic communications. E-prescription or e-sick note, previously criticized, were suddenly advantageous ways of dealing with medical prescriptions and sick notes. Due to the extreme situation, the society has adapted to new solutions, however, in an emergency mode. New products and services have yet to be developed. Nothing is ready. Such smart solutions have several basic attributes. They are oriented to the needs of each person and each community. They are decentralized and enabled primarily by digital tools. What works in big cities today will gradually work anywhere, given the projected growth of the Internet of Things and the development of artificial intelligence. The development of digitization as the main tool of smart solutions in the Czech Republic will undoubtedly contribute to the fact that since 2020 we have a digital constitution, a law that states that citizens have the right to digital public administration service. So the state must provide such a service. This is an original Czech solution that forced the state administration to take rapid action. Within 4 years, all major state agendas major state agendas should be digitized. However, other emphasis need to be added to the origin smart-term, long-term sustainability, and at any moment, resilience. When talking about sustainability of new local digital solutions, we have to take into account 3 pillars of sustainability: economic, social, and environmental one too. In our case, what we understand, economic sustainability includes circularity, local energy generation, knowledge and creativity, and startups, SMEs, very important, especially in the Czech Republic with so many small cities and small villages. Social sustainability includes health and digital social services, education and culture. This lady there in the second row, can you tell a lot about robots in ČVUT? Environmental sustainability includes adaptation to climate change, reduction of pollution, development of bioeconomy, and ecosystem services. My pain for several years, because we don't use enough ecosystem services, and also take into account that they are important. In the same way, when talking about resilience in the near and long-term horizon, we must take into account climate change, of course, and understand it not only with our green sense or as a green goal, but as an instrument or as a goal giving us opportunity for competitiveness, because we are in a rat race with Asian companies, governments, and others in this goal, and we need to understand that for example, Green Deal is not one of able concept, but it is necessary because it is about competitiveness. It is not about good living at the beginning. Then critical thinking and society resilience to social risk. It is necessary to be resilient, especially at present. Then phenomena like digital exclusion and energy poverty, resilience of nature and landscape, ability to react to butterfly fluttering. Smart solutions in this sense don't have a single long-term definition from our point of view. Smart solutions are those that are at the same time equally correspond to more than one of the 7 SMART principles. They are principles of changing direction, creating conditions for services and for work, that when services and work go for people, decentralized solutions. Then resilience principle, it was said, principle of one solution with several equal effects, solving multiple needs at once with a holistic approach. And then principle of short distances, everything what can be done locally must be done locally, of course, with 3E rule: economy, efficiency, and effectiveness. Cooperation and financial sustainability principle, very important, cohesion and complementarity. We need to work together horizontally and vertically too, because only with this, and it was said by Professor Janik, that how it is important to work together, all together. And then principle of evidence-based solutions, solutions based on facts, data openness, transparency. That's all is very important, and when I said we prepare this, with these principles, we prepare national strategy, and it is not only in, these principles are not only in this national strategy, also implementation plan was approved by government three weeks ago. And, but also in RIS3 strategy, and it is quite important because RIS3 strategy is board to support research from national and EU sources and intended to support the cohesion and competitiveness of region. And so it is important that we have it there, and so we can support also areas of smart cities with programs under RIS3 strategy. One very progressive mayor of a small village, village Trojanovice, called the SMART concept. It was presented as the Marshall Plan for the countryside. The Marshall Plan already has a number of well-known elements, but it still needs a lot of research and innovation efforts. And this means an opportunity for research collaboration between partners who have different experiences. Finally, I often say, because I represent this concept quite often, that it is a possibility for renaissance of small cities, villages, nature and landscape, as well as for R&D collaboration. And I am happy that we find a way to collaborate together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Biskova. Let me just transfer to a question that was addressed to you. Actually, you spoke about the small centers, villages, not only about large cities, and basically the message is that every community in the end is going to be digital and smart. The question arises, who actually sets the common standards to be kept, as the initiative in many regards will be at the local level, so some local applications, but there must be some common standards. If you can briefly address.
Only several words. One of places where it is under preparation is Towns and Cities Association, partially, but the main part of work is going to be done, is under construction now at the Ministry of Regional Development. We know that we need different standards, maybe different standards for really small villages. It is something different than bigger and than cities. It is very similar than SAMP in transport. Maybe Professor Svítek will speak about that.
Thank you very much once again for your presentation. Colleagues, we are already in the eating up a little bit out of the coffee break, but before we adjourn this session, I would like to invite to the speakers podium Mr. Gideon Friedman, we are very honored to have him with us. Mr. Friedman is the chief scientist of the Israel Ministry of Energy, and I invite him to deliver his address. Mr. Friedman, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everyone. I will try to be brief so I don't stop you from having a nice break. I'm here on a private visit and very honored to come. I was happy to come here because I thought it's important to be here. I'm honored to be part of this Israeli Czech Republic Innovation Forum. The Czech Republic is one of my favorite countries. I come here very often to Prague. I haven't been here during the Corona, unfortunately, so it's my first visit again after quite a while. I also believe the Czech Republic is one of the best allies of Israel, certainly today, also over the years. And I would like to be practical and establish stronger collaboration also in my official capacity as responsible for innovation, research and development in the energy and water sector. So I will try to be brief. If you want to talk to me about potential collaboration in the break, I will be here in the break. Unfortunately, I will have to leave after that, as this is just a visit for me here. I do want to refer to a few words that were said before. Professor Yaniv mentioned that he would like to present a vision for 2050 because 2030 is so close. But really, we need to bring a change very quickly, and it also will happen very quickly. Some things now change a lot faster than they used to be, and even in the infrastructure business, where I am, in energy. We see tremendous changes, and we will continue to see tremendous changes. So certainly there are some things that will be very different in 2030 compared to today, and I'm hopeful as many and as positive as possible toward that goal. And with respect to comment on the engineers versus the thinkers, certainly we need a lot of thinkers here. But if we look 30 years back and compare to today, The world is very, very different, which is why I don't like to talk about 2050 in particular. We don't know what will be here in 2050. Certainly, we want to think about what will happen and try to steer the direction in the right direction, but we already know from history that we cannot predict the future in any way. And engineers, certainly in the last 30 years, contributed dramatically to what happened here. I'm certain that this will continue like that. I'm not an engineer, I'm a physicist, but we will not be able to make the changes necessary without the engineers. And a lot of it is random, and it's not possible to steer everything to the direction that we want. You know, the COVID taught us also something. So people talked about the possibility of an epidemic before that, but did it help us really? No, not really. It's not something that is very easy to control. Luckily, we had a lot of science to be able to handle this pandemic. But many things are, I think it's very difficult to predict what will be here in 2050. So if we turn to energy and smart energy, that was mentioned already, certainly by Professor Magic and also others, I will expand a little bit. First of all, the main driver, and here is the thing, if you want the thinkers, we set a goal as, humanity, we set a goal to reduce emissions by 2050, maybe even to zero. So each country has to look at its own emissions and decide how to tackle. For Israel, we are different, quite different than many of the industrial West. Our emissions come mostly from electricity and transport, really 85% electricity and transport. We are lucky in this sense, so we don't have a lot of heating, as in the Czech Republic, which is a little more difficult to handle. And we have a small industrial sector, which is also lucky. So these two sectors, the electricity and the transport, is our main focus and what we want to do. And this is now a slide I presented in 2014. I thought I must bring it here. It's not exactly tied to the smart cities, but it has the first line that I put for renewable energy, which is the means that we know of on how to bring zero emissions. So the first line that I put here in 2014 is energy security and diversity. And diversity here is critical. We understand that today with the problems in the supply chains from the corona, with the problems with the Russia invasion to the Ukraine, we know how critical that is. And renewable energy will allow us to achieve this smart goal. And I put it on the first line even in 2014, because this is the means to achieve energy security and diversity, which is critical. The smart cities, of course, is part of this revolution, because we want to produce our energy also locally and manage the energy in the most efficient way locally. And so this is the relation to the smart cities. One more thing I want to say, that if we look at 2014, we look at 2022 in terms of renewable energy, there has been tremendous change. We are in a completely different place today than where we were 8 years ago. So there is still a chance for 2030 to make significant changes. On the other hand, I talked about the smart grid in 2018. I'm starting to be old talking about my old slides. The smart energy, smart grid, I said it is a must for integration, for deep integration of the renewable energy. It is a must for deep integration of the change in transportation, the electric vehicles. It's an enabling infrastructure. We want to achieve these efficiencies that I mentioned, reliability and the economy for our energy sector. But here, in the last more than 10 years, certainly these 4 years, we are struggling. There has not been enough change in this sector, but I am optimistic for the future. I talked about distributed energy. I do want to show two very simple slides. It was also mentioned previously. a lot of thought today, due to the fact that the energy system was centralized, and today it's becoming more and more distributed. But the thought for the engineers, most of the engineers in the system, is that central control can manage the energy. But if we think about large scale, you can see from this picture, it's not possible. It's not going to be possible to do the central control. Really, the structure that we want to look at is distributed management, like the internet, even for the energy system. So we certainly want to do this type of communication, the brains in every node, and to develop the system such that it can communicate on all levels and there will be no central control. A significant component in the smart grid is the microgrid, the local energy management, and here is where the cities come into. So in the city, we can have the local energy management. What does it mean? We have several potential energy sources in the cities, for example, solar, for example, local generators, CHP, combined heat and power, which can run today on gas and maybe in the future on hydrogen, if we want to achieve fully clean systems. So we need to have these generators locally. Of course, for renewable energy in the city, it's mostly not fixed and not completely dispatchable. We need a lot of storage. We need the control. We need to control not only the generation, which is the old thought, but also the demand. So we have to think how we control the demand. We need to see the patterns. We need the patterns of the use, what we can predict in terms of the use in order to do this demand response. Here is where we have machine learning and we have machine learning and artificial intelligence coming into this. So why I'm optimistic with respect to the smart grid, where we did not make the changes as quickly as we want in the past, but we will, I believe, do it now. We have a convergence of several technologies that are becoming available, practical to use. We have the storage, very different than what it was. It's available. The electric vehicles themselves will play a very significant role in the energy system. All the sensors, the IoT, we have digitalization, which made tremendous changes in the last few years. We can control better. We have the technologies, the communications, blockchain, NFT today, or big data. All of these are coming together. They're now mature in many senses, and they will bring the smart cities. Local generation, very important. Is it enough? Not easy. It's not easy to locally generate the energy in an urban environment that is so densely populated, but I think it is generally possible because there are some open areas that can share the energy. We need large storage, and there are various solutions coming up. Not all of them are completely mature. Hydrogen is an option. Synthetic fuel is an option. Other technologies are there, really. If the lithium-ion batteries will not be enough, or they will get stuck, or whatever, there are 10 other technologies waiting to come up. The challenge with EVs, I will mention just the charging issue, which is difficult on the electric grid. I will not go into the details because I'm short on time. But so what do we do in order to address this challenge of how to charge the electric vehicles in the urban environment where it's so densely, and all of a sudden I have a parking lot with 100 cars. They need each of them maybe 22 kilowatts. What do I do? And also in a large residential building, there can be hundreds in Israel, some buildings, even more than 1,000 vehicles in a residential building. What do we do with the charging of the electric vehicles? We need to manage that. We need the smart management of the charging. So
Excuse me, I apologize. Can we come to conclusions because we have last 5 minutes of our break?
Sorry, 2 more slides. So we have initiated a few pilots with the Israeli electric company to have central management for, let's say, a parking lot or residential building of cars. Plus, on the side of the electricity company, there will be communication with the management system, the local management system, to allow to charge when electricity is more available, and at times when it's less available, the system, the Israeli electric company, will convey automatically, of course, to the local management that there is less electricity available. Please charge the cars more slowly, and this is how we can manage that. Another pilot that we are running is to generate the charging stations electricity from solar. So we cover, let's say, a parking lot with solar panels. We have battery storage and a management system. And again, we can charge the car from local generation. We are currently running 4 projects, supporting 4 projects, 10 million shekels budget and 4 million from our side as a ministry. And we also want to see more and more microgrids, and we have pushed the microgrid pilots. Again, last year we had the call for proposals, and we accepted 8 projects for microgrids with a total budget of about 13 million shekels, and our support about 3.5 million. The Czech koruna is about times 7, almost times 7, the numbers that I'm showing here. And we have very varied microgrid pilots in residential, industrial environment, and also combined, various combined. One interesting thing is we have the smart grid. We have the smart meters starting to deploy the smart meters in Israel, a pilot of about 500 megawatts. And all of a sudden, this convergence is very interesting in showing, like the Israeli communication companies wanting to be electricity supplier, wanting to charge electric vehicles and give sort of a joint solution. And now you can see here an advertisement by Cellcom, a large Israeli company that want to charge electric vehicles. I will stop here and send you, if you want to communicate, this presentation will be available if you put it on a website. It's open for people, and also you can contact me through this contact information, and if you want to talk to me during the short break, I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Friedman, indeed, and we appreciate your joining us, being actually in Prague on private purpose originally, so we really appreciate that. In your last, or in this last presentation, I think there are many areas for Czech-Israeli collaboration identified, so thank you once again. Dear colleagues, we are already at the end of our coffee break, which is bad news. The good news is that there will be a short one, obviously, because you have to actually have a little time to relax after so many presentations. But nevertheless, I think this was an exciting session. I would like really thank all our keynote speakers. I think we have set the playground for the deliberations of today, and I myself have learned a lot. And coming back to the statement of Ambassador Azari, I begin to understand more the titles of the presentation. So thank you once again. I think we have had a wonderful discussion. Thank you very much. So I declare 15 minutes coffee break, please, and then we will start.